Okay, so today we're going to be continuing Interview of the Vampire Season 1. We're going to be watching episodes 2 and 3. Last time we watched the first episode. If you want to go and watch that, go and watch that. Grab yourself some water. Actually, mine is empty, but I'm not going all the way back downstairs to refill it.
I mean, is it only work or are you and he...
I serve a god.
Part of me is so confused to this day as to why Armand would agree to play the assistant. I get that it's all part of a trap that they're trying to, I guess, lure Daniel into. Just seems very strange and manipulative. It is strange and manipulative. We know Armand is. He's got some ulterior motives.
Our proper disposal is the penance of a sated vampire.
Crazy that he only starts with proper disposal at this point. I guess like he covered it up by like luckily having this rumor of the fevers. Maybe it's just because the level of carnage at the church was so extreme that the fevers would not be enough.
Careful, Moshe. You're beginning to frighten the man.
How is it that in this scene in particular, Lestat is able to speak into Louis's mind when Louis and Lestat at this point cannot read each other's minds? They don't ever do that again. Oh, also I'm wearing the Slytherin shirt. Remember last time I was like, he's dressed like a Slytherin, but I'm wearing it this time. That shit is so nasty. I have literal nightmares. Nightmares where shit like this happens. That is so gross. They really made this into like the most viscerally disturbing part of this. Him carrying Louis up the stairs is hilarious. Why is he trying to be seductive right now? Stop. I don't think right now is the time to be giving him the eyes, right? Look at him. I'm sorry. Contrasting the way that he is right now at the start of the series with the way that their relationship degrades later on is so insane. I feel the way about this relationship that I do about the marriage that was depicted in that show, Mr. and Mrs. Smith television adaptation with Donald Glover and all that stuff. Both of these really do show, like, obviously like a somewhat limited view, but like a very honest view of the arc of a relationship, how it all just goes downhill really fast, even if you do love each other, because love isn't enough. That is one of my favorite parts about this. I think that's like one of the beauties of fiction. Like, even if you're writing a world that isn't real with characters that could never really exist, you're still getting to shine a light and put up a mirror to real world lived experiences that people have.
White master, black student, but equal in the quiet dark.
I'm sorry. They are funny. Louis is just talking nonsense at this point, right? I've seen a few interviews of the showrunner talking about how he wrote this season of the show from the sort of elevated perspective that Anne Rice had of Lestat's character going into the vampire Lestat and not so much in Interview with the Vampire. The way that Louis chooses to talk about Lestat does come across, at least right now, as like a very romanticized view of what happened in comparison to the original interview, which they've alluded to and will allude to as the show goes on further. He was so angry about it before, and that was kind of the way that the first book in the series was written as well, only for him to now be like backtracking like, we were equals. It's strange how he's playing a sort of retroactive role in the abuse that he suffered. They really do everything they can to make this look disgusting. Why is it dripping?
I'm good with people.
Lestat and his wandering eye. It's only fair that they established, like, even though he has Louis with him right now and they're at the height of their relationship, there has been like literally no point in their relationship, even in the first episode, where he was like 100% monogamous to Louis. Like, even then he was still having sex with other people.
As your powers grow, you can see their thoughts. It's a very distracting gift, the petty musings of meat.
I think it's so intriguing how so many vampire stories include the power of mind reading. The Night Prince series, you can't see, I'm not even pointing. The Night Prince series right there. I talk about Janine Frost a lot, definitely too much. Layla Dalton Dracula's husband. He often talks about how much of a burden it is to like hear people's worst thoughts because people are fucking crazy. Like, walking down the street and being able to hear people's thoughts is not what I would call a good time by any means. They both look so good. The costume department for this show did so well. You see so many shows that try to be like period pieces and they make the costuming look like costumes. They don't look like actual clothes that people would wear. Like, I felt this way about like the previous live action adaptation of Avatar. Those outfits don't really look look like outfits, they look like costumes. But here, like, you can tell that they paid such attention to every little detail of every single outfit these two men wear. They look so good in every single suit.
I don't remember inviting him, but please take your overdressed self and have a fun time.
I understand that, like, at this point they're trying to say, like, everyone has pretty much caught on the fact that they, like, live together is obviously a dead giveaway. But I do think that they kind of, like, sped through the heavy resentment that Louis' mom now has for Lestat. All of the segments where Louis goes back home and sees his family, I think that they could have done a little bit more to establish they have decided that Lestat is the reason that their son is so horrible now, and the relationship between them has caused strain between the entire family. Like, I feel like it could have been a bit smoother the way that they go about it, instead of just having this immediate scene where it's like, first time we're seeing her after the funeral, she's on decent enough terms with Louis that she gives him a kiss on both cheeks, but doesn't like Lestat to the point where she's like, I didn't invite you to the party. What have the encounters between all of them been like since that last time that we saw them all together? They haven't seen each other in months.
Well, you really do have a mind inside that head of yours, don't you?
I talked about it before, but it's just like the way that they nailed this, that people still talk down to him, even with all of his accomplishments. He literally wore an all-white suit. That's not a coincidence. They're really trying to drive home the fact that this guy is really doing his best to contort himself and smush himself into the mold of his white counterparts who have more power than him, even though he is who he is. Like, he is literally that bitch right now. He is him. But, like, he still feels the need to transform himself for the benefit of people like this. I find it really interesting that they nailed it. Usually shows like this that have white showrunners, TVD, they don't typically nail these kinds of discourse and conversations.
You fellas know where I can find a Fair Play Saloon?
About 5 years late.
5
So how
years.
long are
You
you in
see what
town?
I mean about the way that they show the passage of time? Like, we have a crossfade montage, and then suddenly it's 5 years later. Nothing notable in 5 years. I get that they're trying to demonstrate that years feel like days or hours to these creatures who are outside of time. I get it. But still, 5 years, this is how you're going to tell me that 5 years have passed? I think that just kind of makes the progression of their relationship even stranger. If you don't know that this amount of time has passed, it feels like it's been months. Right now they're in the honeymoon phase, but the honeymoon phase lasted 5 entire years before Lestat or Louis got into an argument about how Lestat is boning down with other people. It's been 5 years and they haven't had any true, real conflict about that at all.
I mean, I haven't had the pleasure. Been so busy with work and,
Him?
Again, though, it kind of
my
makes it seem so jarring. Like, the drastic shift. Like, we just saw Grace in a couple scenes ago and she was so happy to see him, but now it's been 5 years and she hates him. And the fact that we don't see any of that time, we don't get to feel like, yes, it has been 5 entire years. It feels like it's been a couple of weeks, when in reality she has 5-year-old daughters and a new baby. Her brother hasn't seen her or come to meet any of her children. We don't get to feel the impact of that as much because we're just told in like a throwaway line, like, you're 5 years too late to see the fair play.
Ignore the sound of the hurricane happening outside and my computer fighting for its life, but as I'm editing this, I do feel of two minds about it. From Louis' point of view, it is jarring. For him, it feels as well, I guess, like it's just been a couple of weeks, but he looks up and it's actually been 5 years and now his sister is bitter towards him. I guess that's why they did it, because it's just as surprising to him as it is to us that so much has changed in what feels like a short time to him, but what has really been years and years for everybody else. I definitely wish that we could have seen a little bit more, but I also understand why they didn't include it.
She still cares about him. She's still extending that olive branch to him, which makes all of this that much more devastating.
Is the pandemic the opening they've been waiting for?
I'm really not a fan of them trying to shove the pandemic into this. I just feel like it really doesn't have a place in this narrative whatsoever. I get that they wanted to make it current. I just don't understand, in what way does COVID like add any layers to this? You know, I don't really see it. Sorry, it's the CGI drool too. Like they said, guys, no, I know it would make this better if we added some CGI drool. To hear your baby screaming and crying like that, you're literally sitting on a couch and you decided to put the baby on the floor. I guess it would be bad if the baby like rolled off the couch onto the floor. But like, didn't even put like a pillow under it, just put him bare on the floor.
There's one thing about being a vampire that I most fear above all else, and that is loneliness.
What a manipulator. He's so good at it though. Like the way that Louis weaves the story for Daniel is so accurate to like what's happening. Like every time he sees him getting upset or down, he brushes it aside with a gift or a compliment, or he buries it under his own trauma and his own issues that he's going through instead of helping Louis get through what he's experiencing in those moments.
Why do you do this, Lestat?
Well, I like to do it. I enjoy it.
Well, I don't.
Then why are you
don't have
sitting
to
there
humiliate.
reading? You get what Louis tries to make such a big fuss about. The way that Lestat kills these humans is so crazy. Oh, dude, you are complicit. You can't get mad at Lestat for doing this when you're literally sitting there watching this happen. Not to mention the fact that he's literally about to drink this dude with Lestat. Such an unreliable dude. Like, he does not stand on business at all. He's just as guilty as Lestat in this instance. He's just as guilty.
Half of her eyebrow was blonde, like a mutt. She always dyed it back to brown. I liked it when she left it alone.
I do love these little human moments that they have between Louis and Daniel during this interview. I think it adds so much texture to both of these characters. They're both old ass men. Obviously Louis much older than Daniel, but they're both old men who have lived long lives, made plenty of mistakes. The fact that they get to come together for this interview once again, I think it gives both of them like a new understanding of one another. Did they do like the skyline on purpose to make it look like some things? Or is that just me interpreting things that don't need to be interpreted? I'm sorry, the way they edited that was hilarious. It's kind of like they went like a slapstick route with these two episodes. What was all of that for? Like, Louis, he literally just picked that guy. Antoinette! Hot take, I actually don't hate Antoinette. For most of this, like, I just feel really, really bad for her. She can sing me a song any day. I love how done Lestat is with him. I would be over it too. Like, he's just so annoying. They got such good talent for this show. Like, people who are so good at conveying a message with just their face. This gives the same energy as like Farley in Saltburn, like getting up and singing the song. That movie is crazy. I did a reaction for that movie, but then I never released it because it was just too much. Some of the stuff that it was too much. I couldn't.
Jelly was gonna leave me high and dry in a few days, and Lestat took umbrage.
Even when he's like being bratty and stubborn, like he's still coming from a place of like wanting to be sweet to Louis, which makes like all of his like brattier moments seem like, oh, well, I can't be mad because he only did it for this reason. Like, he's just such a good manipulator. He's fully gonna throw away all of it. I get the idea of like, this is the interview. Let's stop referencing the last one. But to throw away the previous files is ridiculous.
I like soft hands. I like burnished complexions.
I get why people don't like her from these lines, but like, can't hate her for it. I would be trying to get all over Lestat as well.
I like men called daddy.
Ugh. Ooh, that's like beyond the Aquila Rift. Like, does everyone remember that episode? I think it was like season 2 of Love, Death, and Robots. It's the fact that he goes for it right in front of Louis. Then he has the nerve to get so jealous later on. I get Lestat is a hypocrite. He wants a harem, is what he wants.
Aren't I enough?
That's so embarrassing. You can just tell that Sam Reed is having like way too much fun.
From time to time, I like a little variety.
If I were Louis, I would be wondering like, okay, have you done this before? And now you're just not hiding it? They've been together for almost 10 years at this point. There's no way that this is the first time he's fooled around.
You ever think about those old days when we were kids?
I I can totally see why Lestat would be jealous though. Other than the fact that he just seems like a jealous and petty person, I can see why he would be jealous about this, because not only is Jonah capable of sharing in Louis' experience as a man of color, but he also has a history with Louis. Like, that's a double whammy. I can easily see how Lestat would feel like he is losing in that competition.
Ain't age a day since I seen you last. That's the moonlight line, is all.
Not him being a flirt. I'm sorry. It's crazy to see him in this more like not quite aggressive, but a more forward, flirtatious role, when in his relationship with Lestat, he was very much the one being pursued.
Some nights.
Some nights I say I'm cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I called it a draw. Does everyone remember Fun? I remember Fun. I used to love some of their music. I was out on the town, but I came to your window last night. I tried not to throw stones, but I wanted to come inside. Now I'm causing a scene, thinking you need a reason to smile. Oh no, what have I done? What have I done? Oh my god. Knowing that Lestat is watching this from the shadows just makes this whole thing like not even a little titillating to me. Very uncomfy. The sucking sound effects. That's crazy. They really put in sucking sound effects.
He was 16. I was older.
How much older?
You're lingering, Rashid.
Do you think he dismissed him because he doesn't want Armand to have to hear about two separate stories about two different lovers he's had before him? That's so extreme. Like, why did he do all that? I'm sorry.
There he is.
I really feel like they underbaked this whole thing with his mom, like, coming to absolutely despise him.
Breathe.
Can we please be remembering this is his house, though? I get that he wants to be a family man, but like, sometimes you gotta put your foot down and lay down the law. This is your house. They don't get to tell you to leave. Notice how all of the soldiers that he brought into their home for Louis to be with are all white, compared to Jonah being another man of color. It just adds another layer to his obvious insecurity in this relationship.
I heard your heart dancing!
That's crazy. I heard your heart's dancing. That is like the wildest thing that he could have said. I kind of get his point of view though. Like, it's one thing to hook up with people that you don't really feel anything for. Louis did go and hook up with somebody that he had like a prior thing with. But at the same time, Lestat goes on to develop this like decades long romance with this other woman.
Sodomite townhouse won't change the fact.
Calling it a sodomite
tiny man.
townhouse is like so crazy for no reason. Like, I mean, I guess accurate, but like a sodomite townhouse.
You're thinking about your wife.
He's thinking about his family now? Did we not kick off this show with him fucking a prostitute?
I'll let you reload.
I feel like this is where you start to see little bits of his current self, like in the current timeline. He's like so calm and cool and collected while being demented. I'm not gonna say that this is deserved, but it is kind of deserved, right? Like, he went overboard. He went too far. His little like sauntery walk is like insane to me.
That's why you and me ain't ever gonna work.
Oh my god, is this the second time? Third episode, second time that Louis has broken up with Lestat. Let's keep a count going throughout this season of how many times Louis breaks up with Lestat, because it's many.
Can I help you? Please let me help you.
Why is he talking about, can I help you? There are people getting the shit kicked out of them right behind him. Ooh, my light, my Claudia. Like, what a way to introduce the midpoint of the season. I'm on the storytelling aspects of the show. I love storytelling. I love looking at story structure, and the way that they truncated this season by cutting the book in half and making Claudia the midpoint of the series instead of Lestat's death. Every single time something gets taken out of me. The attention to detail that the writers have, they really go as hard as they possibly can, and I love that for them. I love the way that they've changed the story. I love the way that they've maintained certain elements of the story. Like, you can really tell that they know what made Interview with a Vampire so intriguing in the first place, and they kept those elements and enriched it with other details that I think make this story so much more interesting. It makes me nervous for the next season to see if they are able to keep up that same quality. A lot of you guys commented that the next season is just as good, if not better, so I have high high hopes. Every episode feels different in tone and vibe, to the point where it feels like you're watching, I don't know, like little short films instead of like episodes of a TV show. I don't know. I guess that's how it's supposed to feel. I don't know. Let me stop rambling, because I gotta go drink some water, man. Anyway, thank you so much for stopping by, tuning in, and watching these episodes of Interview with the Vampire with me. I will see you on another video in the future. Okay, peace sign. Bye.